What's going on, guys? So just kind of want to go over my experiences with the smart system. I got the P-51 about a week ago and took it out last weekend, and it's an excellent flying plane. I set up some thresholds for what I thought I wanted to monitor, but I didn't set up any voice commands, so it was really difficult for me to get an understanding of what the plane was doing at the time. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit better understanding of it, so that you guys can kind of maybe better program your transmitter before you go out to fully enjoy those features. One thing I did notice when you plug in the plane, it automatically kicked a smart battery alarm on the very first screen. So what it's doing is some of the settings are already set up that way. So if you've updated your transmitter, you're now going to have a telemetry screen. So if you go into the telemetry screen, we had a smart battery alarm. So I'm going to go to smart battery. And the reason it's doing that is because the min's set to 4.18. And I think the purpose of this screen is just so that you put in a fully charged battery. So, most of the time I have one that's been drawn on a little bit. So if you drop that down to whatever you want, this basically gives you an option to see that you haven't put a fully charged battery in your plane to try to save you. So, this, just like every screen in here, is going to be totally user desire. Some people are going to have different settings than others. So if you knock that down, you won't get that status screen every time you hop into this. But we're just going to kind of go over some of the real quick things. So the main ones that I was trying to monitor were like volts and amps. An alarm would go off and I didn't really understand what was going on. One of the main ones was I put the plane straight vertical at full throttle. An alarm went off, which would probably be my amp threshold. But I didn't have the time, or I didn't want to look down at my transmitter and take my eye off the plane. So I didn't really understand what was going on. So if you go into these screens, how they're set up from the factory, if you double click them, it gets you into the screen. Single click in the wheel will allow you to change it. But I've messed with these, but if you look, all these say inhibited. So if you turn on an alarm, it'll tone. It'll give you an audible tone, but it won't tell you what's going on. So what I figured out was you actually need to change status reports and warning reports to where it actually verbally lets you know. Voice will also do this. But just to kind of show this, I got status reports on 10 seconds. I typically do 30, but just for the sake of the video, time-wise, I wanted to set it a little bit lower. So I'm going to turn my volume up now so you guys can kind of hear.
Volume 100. Flight pack 25.1 volts.
So now you can see it's going to give my flight pack voltage every 30 seconds, or whatever your setting is. It's going to be 10 now,
Flight pack 25.1 volts.
But this allows you to keep your eyes on your plane and actually still get information off the transmitter. I know a lot of people were saying, yeah, what's the big deal? I have all this telemetry information now, but I can't really utilize it because I don't want to look down at my screen. Well, if you set up your voice reports, then you can actually utilize that data. So, there's tons of information on here, totally user configurable. I got the plane sitting next to me so we can arm it here real quick. But it'll give you min-max settings. So maximum RPM I hit right there was 5,780. No amp draw, gives current temperatures of everything, BC volts, min-max. So even after you get done flying, you can bring it in and review all this data. Shows I'm doing 8% output of the motor currently, 8% throttle. Sitting at 80 degrees right now. So it's just fully customizable. Even gives you AS3X gains to where you can change those. So I want everybody to have a better experience. It wasn't bad. The plane flew great. But I wanted to actually fully test the system, and I didn't really feel like there was anybody who had really talked about kind of setting it up. So everybody's going to be different in what they want to see, but actually kind of delve into your transmitter and set thresholds and actual voice commands so you can actually kind of feel what the plane's doing. It's really hard to sit here on the ground where you can't, actually really push some of these parameters and get a good understanding of what's going on. But there's 20 different options almost. I think there's 18 or 19, I believe, that you can pre-program in here. So just go into your telemetry settings, find an empty slot. We'll pick volts since that one was empty. But I mean, we have fuel level, power box, altitude for vario. I'm not sure what that is. Turbine, GPS. Obviously, some won't work with an electronic plane. Some will probably require additional sensors. I've never really seen any clarification for that. But just get in here and kind of mess with some of this stuff and get a better understanding. But I want people to actually have stuff set up before they take the plane out for the first time. I kind of just took it out and blindly went into it. But that's my understanding of it a week into it anyway. So hope this helps you guys. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave a comment. And happy flying.